a man who is doing for his government an incredibly important job of trying to make a material difference in the lot in life of persecuted Christians, specifically in the Middle East at the moment, is our guest for this full and, I'm hoping, very impactful conversation. He is Deputy Secretary of State for the Aid of Persecuted Christians of the nation of Hungary. His name is Tristan Azbej. He has a PhD in geosciences from Virginia Tech, which, as he's pointed out to me off air, makes him a Hokie. But he is also, by training and experience, a diplomat who has served in his country's foreign ministry. He is now in a super ministry, which is entitled the Ministry of Human Capacities. And I had the privilege of meeting him briefly in a conference before Christmas, and I'm so thrilled to have him with us to talk about what Hungary is doing and what the rest of us must do on behalf of persecuted Christians around the world. Tristan Azbej, very good to have you with us, sir. Thank you so much for taking the time to visit.
Good evening. Hello from Budapest, and thanks for having me.
Well, it is a distinct privilege to have you, and I wanted to say right out of the box, thank you for what you and your government are doing. And you told a story along with Stephen Roche, who is with the Chaldean Catholic Archdiocese of Erbil at this conference that was sponsored by the Hudson Institute and the Anglosphere Society in the middle of December, about a town called Telskuf in Iraq. Would you tell us the story of what was going on there and what your government did to help?
Okay, so to jump in the middle, let's talk about Telskuf, which is in the Nineveh region of Iraq. This is the region where traditionally Christians have been living in that part of the world for 2,000 years. In the Nineveh region, just 15 years ago, there have been 1.5 million Christians, and today there are only less than 300,000. This is a tragic and a striking number, and it shows that if we don't act or do something, that after living there for 2,000 years, Christian communities will disappear during our lifetime from Iraq, while we watch and do nothing. And this is something the Hungarian government took upon itself as a responsibility to address this tragic phenomenon of persecution of Christians.
And just tell us, Tristan, if I could just interrupt for a second, who is doing the persecution on the Nineveh Plains at the moment?
At the Nineveh Plains, it was Daesh, the terrorist group that calls itself Islamic State. For example, the settlement called Telskuf we are talking about, which was a pure Christian town, has been occupied by ISIS in 2014. Everybody who could has fled from the town, so it became completely deserted. Later, during the battles and the ongoing wars, the several hundreds of houses have been destroyed. By now, from the military sense, the Islamic State terrorist organization has been dismantled. But as we have experienced on our trip recently to the region, the ideology is still there. But returning to Telskuf and some other, I guess, if you can say that, luckier Christian communities, many of them has been given two chances: either convert, or either flee, or either pay the specific, punishment tax imposed upon Christians and the jizya on Christians and other communities. Nevertheless, the people of Telskuf, about 1,300 families, have flown from the town, and have fled from the town, and this is where the Hungarian government stepped in through the program I am leading, and as a pilot project, we provided approximately $2 million to rebuild the town.
So the town was emptied of its population, and then destroyed, effectively, I guess, or seriously damaged. And your government, and again, we're speaking with the Deputy Secretary of State for the Aid of Persecuted Christians of Hungary, Tristan Azbej, your government stepped in and simply made $2 million available for the purposes of trying to do what exactly?
To reconstruct the town. We have this aid program we call Hungary Helps, and we have 3 governing principles. All of them have been called very innovative. We think it's only common sense. The first governing principle is honest dialogue. So what we have done before providing this aid, we have visited these communities, talked to the church leaders, invited them to Hungary, and asked how we may help.